Assalamu alaikum everyone. Welcome back to the Code Cracker. In this video, we are diving into the essential concept that is array. Uh, Array is the basic concept in C++ programming. Whether you are beginner or brushing up your basics, this video will make array simple and easy to understand. Array is the main concept. You should know about the array if you are handling a large amount of data. The array is very useful for this. So let's get started with the array. What is the array? I will give you a little bit introduction to the array, and we also write the code of the array that make it simple and easy to understand what is array. Basically, let's first of all understand what is the array. Array is a collection of a variable of the same data type. It's mean array is a collection of data, variable data same data type. It's mean that the array is a variable. It is a collection of the variable. It is a collection of variable. Basically, if you are working on a different multiple variable with the same data type, the array is the basic concept that help to use the multiple variable with the same data type in a single variable. Instead of declaring the multiple variable, we can store a list of values, list of variables, and a single variable that is known as array. Think of a row of locker, each holding a value, and each one has its own number starting from the zero. And it is used to store the multiple values in a single variable. That's why this is the very important. If we are using the multiple variable, but we want to store that multiple variable in the single variable, that we can access the multiple values and multiple variable from the single variable. The array is used for that. And basically array index start from the zero. Basically in programming, the numbering that start is from zero. So the array start from the zero and so on to the uh, ending line. Like if we are working with the array, and if we are declare array, it start from the zero and at the ending point. And the end is the minus of one of the ending point. Why we use the array? Basically we use array to reduce the complexity, because if we are declaring the multiple variables multiple time, it may cause very complicated, and it's also increase the complexity. That's why we use array that can hold a multiple variables in a single variable, that reduce the complexity, and it make easy to understand our code, allow easy to access the element. And it's also helpful to allow to access the element using an index. To access the all element, just we have to know the index of that element, at which index this element is present, and then from this that index we can access the any variable, any value that is available in the array. So it's uh, basically it linked with the index positions. And another reason of using array is helpful in storing and processing a large sets of data. If you're working on the large amount of variables, large amount of data, the array is very useful, that able to store the data in form of single variables. And to understand how to use the array in programming, so we have to understand the syntax of array. First of all, we have to declare the data type. We cannot store the multiple variable with the different data types. We can store the multiple variable that has same uh, data type, and that's why the same data type as that the variable we can use as array. If there are multiple variable with different data type, we cannot form the array. For example, first of all, we have to declare the data type of our array. It may be integer, float, everything, you string, it may be anything. And the array name, then we have to give him the array name like a variable name. It's simple like a variable name. And then we use this type of brackets that bracket. In this bracket we have to provide the size of array. We have to define how many values can store in this index, how many values can store in the arrays. We have to define the size. For example, if I have declared the size for 5, It's mean that it can store the five numbers of values, five values, five variables. Like if we have enter the size is the five, that is mean it can store the five values, five variable values, five integer type values. Like if we have to store, we can store the five values. That value can start from the index position 0. Index position, if the value gets started, the array only start with the 0 index. It cannot start from the 1 index. The first value should be name, should has index position of 0, and then 1, then 2, then 3, then 4, and so it will get stopped because the five integers has been completed, five size has been completed, that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's mean if the last value is at place at the position index position of 4. We had just to identify at what position the last value has been stored. The declare of an array of five integer, it's mean it can declare the five values, five integer values in this particular array. We can store the many values, many variables uh, according to the our need. If we want to store the thousands value, we can store the thousand value. Just we have to replace the index size with the thousand. It can store the thousand value, but the last value index position is 999. 999, because the last position will be subtracted from the -1, because it has been known that it will start from the 0. So the last value will be 999. In this case, it will be 4, because the number will get started from the 0. So on, it will get completed to the 5, and the last position value is 4. Let's move to the next slide. How we can initialize the array? We can initialize the array by using manual method, and also we can initialize the array using the inline method. If you want to provide the values to the index position, we can use the manual method. Just we have to write the name of array, and then have to provide the index position. After providing the index position, we can give the value. It's mean the first value will be 10, because index position 0 will be always be first value, and number 1 will be the second position value, that has 20 value. And method 2, inline method, just we have to declare the array with just provide the size of array, then simply provide the values 10, 20, 30. It will automatically detect at what position the values are get stored. We can use this method also, but I will prefer to use this method because it is very easy, and this method is in one line method. We can just provide the position and also use the equal sign, that assigning operator sign, that can assign the value to at this index position. And we can also use the index position, at what index position we want to store the value, by just using assigning operator and providing the position, and then we can able to store the value there. Accessing the array, how we can access the array of element? Using the indexing to access the modifier array. For example, in previous video, if we know that the first value will be at the index of 0, I told you earlier, and the second value will be at the position of 1, and 2 is and with, say 2, index position 2 there will be 30, and index position 3 there will be 40, and index position 4 there will be 50. If we want to access this value, we want to show this value on the screen, just we have to use this index position. Now we know that at index position of 2 there is a 30 value. 30 at the index this position there is a 30 value. If I move to the next slide, we are using sort function to display the value. We are using the index position, that is 2. That is mean it's have an index position of 2. In this index position there is the value that has been stored, that is 30. Just we are just it will show the output of 30, that they at this index position there is 30 has been stored. You can see there. And we can also use the array if you want to use the multiple values, and we cannot print out the We cannot print out the multiple value that have a lot of size. We can use for loop that automatically print out the values of every element that is available in the array. For example, if we define the size that 5, that in this case, what you are giving, you are saying the for loop or the what is basically we define the size of for loop that is pi, and it can start from the 0 at the apex position of 0. Here if it pick 10, so it will provide the index division of 0 to the number array when it's implemented the 10, and it's so on its way toward the next part when it print the increment of 1, it will become 1, and after 1 the now the index position and the 1 there is 20, so it particularly the that bracket or discipline because of a number array there is 20 stored in the at the position of 1, so on it move toward the next index position that is e. So the T will get printed on this P, and at the text printed of P there is 30, so the 30 will get printed on this array. So this is how that array works, and it will become it will rules until being a condition that falls until that 4 will greater than the 5 equal to 5, then it can get false and it will be get terminated. Types of array, there are two types of array. There is one dimension array. The one dimension array that I explained in the previous slides, that is a one dimension array. And the other array is two dimensional array that is basically used for performing the matrix functions. Matrix, if you are working on the matrix, we use a two dimensional array that have two, that is the, that it is in the form of two dimension, in the form of matrix. This is the example of 2D array. We have to declare the integer that same data type, then we have to define the array name, then we have to define the two dimension array. It's mean that mean that two row and three columns. It's like it will declare it will make and to declare this array we have to define the columns and row. First of all, we have defined that there will be two rows and three columns, and then after this we have to provide the values. In this case, there is two row, that is row 1 and row 2. I will declare it with the R1, and this is R2. This is the row 1 and this is R2. Then again, the other condition is that it has three column. This is a column. This is known as column C1, C2, and C3. This is the column 1, column 2, and column 3. That's how we can declare the 2D array if you're working on the matrix. And how to access the 2 array? You can see that the matrix is showing that output is 6. How this is showing that output is 6? It's basically arrow is showing that it will retrieve the output of 6. Basically, if we has we know that the matrix start from the 0 index, so this row will be placed at the 0 index. See, this row will be at the place at the 0 index, and this row will be at the place of 1 index, as we know. So in this matrix, it's showing that access the matrix row that access the matrix row that is placed at the index 1. As we know, this row is placed at the index 1. This row will get access, and how we know that it will start from the 0. So it's saying that it will show that the value that is placed in the index position 2. As we know that it will start from 0, so this will become 0, and it will become 1, and it will become 2, and simply it will printed this 6 here. 6 will be get printed on the screen because 6 is placed at the index position of 2. This is how it works. And now move to the key points of array. Array store the fixed size of sequentially element. It can store the number is fixed. We cannot change the number of size. Index start from the 0. I have told you earlier that in array every element that has a start is from 0, and useful for loop based operation. It is basically we can, if we are working on the large amount of array, we can use the loop based operation. That is very useful. Cannot change the size when it's declared. If we declare the size of array, we cannot change the size of the array because it is get fixed. And the conclusion, array are the powerful data structure in C++. Simply working with a large data set, it's a very powerful data structure in the C++, and simply working with the large sets of similar data, the array is very useful, essential for understanding data management system. Data management in C++. Let's move toward the code, how we can create the array and how we can code the in this part of code. You will able to understand the array in very easy and simple way. If you don't understand the theory, I think this code will be very helpful to understand the array. So let's get started with the code. First of all, I've added the basic necessary things that we always do in our code. So that is hashtag include iostream and some dependencies. Now we have write the main basic thing that we always do in our code. So now we how to create the array. First of all, we have to define the type of array, which type of array we are going to create. I am going to create an integer type of array. So then we have to name the array. We have to name the array. You can name any name. I am going to name it with a double r, and then after this we have to use this type of bracket. In this type of bracket we have to define the size of array, how much the array can store the values. We have to define this array can store they cannot exceed from this size of memory, this size of values. If I enter the 4, so we can enter the 4 value, we cannot enter more than 4 values. And then after we have to use these curly braces, and these curly braces we have to provide the um, values, four values, 1 2 3 and 6. 6, this is the 4 value, 1 2 3 4 6. uh, this is the inline method. this is inline method this is inline method that define that in this inline method we simply write the array with the size, and in the after that assigning operator we provide the 4 values. This is the inline method of inserting, giving the value to the array. So, and how to print out the values of array? Simply we can use the cout function that basically used to print out the values, and then we have to define the positions of array. Index position, at what index position the value is placed. We have to tell that at this position fetch that value and show with this value on the result. If I write here 0, it's meant the first value that at the 0 index, the first value is 1, so 1 will get displayed. And if I copy, sorry, if I copy and paste, and I provided 1 2 3. Now we know that the every array start from the 0 index. So 0 index indicate the 1 value, because 1 is the first value, and 1 index indicated the 2 value, the 2 is the second value, and 2 indicate the 3 value, that 3 is the third value, and 3 indicate the fourth value of array, that is 6. So at this index position the values has been stored. If I compile and run, it will show me a result, and there is a problem. Cout function array. And sorry, we have to use here colon, semicolon, and after that I compile and run again. You can see that the values have been printed, that is 1 2 3 6. That 1 2 3 6 is printed with the cout function. 0 1 0 is indicating 1, and 2 is indicating 1 index position, 3 is indicating 2 index position, and 6 is indicating the 3 index position. From by fetching the index position we can fetch the value. This is inline method of providing the values and providing the values to the array. We can use the manual method. The manual method, how we can use the manual method? uh, to use the manual method, first of all we also need to declare the data type of array, that is also integer. Now I will give him array 1, and after this I will have to provide the size. I will provide the size of 3, and then semicolon. This is the that we had declared the array, and now I will use cout function to to make one line difference between the one array and the second array. So I will use /n. That's it. Now we have to uh, insert the value to the array, insert the 3 values to the array. How we can insert it? Simply we can use a cn simply we can use the array. And array we have to first identify the index position. We are inserting at the index position of 0 the value. The index position of 0 is the first value. I will insert a 2 here, and then array 1. Sorry, there is this array as array 1. So I will write here array 1, and providing with value 3, and array 1, 2, and providing the value 4. After providing this value, simply we're going to print out this value. So I will use the same command but changing the name of it. So I will give an index position of 1, index position of 2, and array is 1, 1, and 1. Now simply in the manual method we use the index position, and using assigning operator we can assign the value at the index which index we are going to assign the value. After compiling and running, you will see the interface that the 2 3 4 will get printed because we inserted that there is 0 index, there is 2 value, at the 1 index there is 3 value, and the 2 that the array can be inserted. An array can be, and this is how simple we can insert the value to the array. And we can also use the for loop, because for loop is a very good concept. If we use a for loop, if we have hundreds of value, we can easily insert the hundreds of value by using a for loop within 2 lines of code. But for example, if we use a for loop for int I is equal to 0, that loop will start from the 0, as we know that a array start from the 0. Then we use the I, and I greater than or equal to, greater than, we am going to insert the 4 values. So I will use here and I plus plus increment. And in here we are going to write an array, the third array, where I will define its size is 4. And after this we are using c out slash n to give a one line difference. And after this we just need to assign the value array I, array I. Just we providing that the index is 0. It also mean that a first value will be 0 inserted in the array index. And I'm simply inserting the 2 2 in the diff 4 values 2 2. Every index I'm inserting 2. Every index of the array I'm inserting a 2. So the it has 4 2 in the array value. Every value has 4. Every array has, and every array index position there will be 2, because I'm inserting a 2 only here. After this we use out function to print out the value. So simply how we can print, we can use I, same method. What it do, and it start from the 0, and we know that it is 0 index position, and it move to bar there, and array 0, it will insert the 2 in the index position of 0. Again it move to here, and then it display the value 2. And after displaying the value 2 here, it move again outside the again to the loop, and it see that increment operator, it increase the value, and now I value become 1. And it will compare this condition, it's also less than 4. So it again it move to 1, and at the 1 index position the 2 will be inserted and 2 will be get printed, and same on so on until it reach to the greater than value that is greater than the 4. The condition get false, and the loop will be get terminated. This is how we can insert values to the array by using a loop. We are using array 3, so simply I will write here array 3, because we provide the name of array is array 3. Now I will compile and run. You will see the result on the screen. You can see that 2 2 2 will be inserted, because I am just providing 2 to the every array value. Every index position of array, I'm providing 2, so it's showing the 2. Can use the loop to insert the value. And now the second thing is that I will give the value. This is the for loop, so I will comment here for loop method, for loop method, and that's, and also write here loop. And now what is two-dimension array? Basically two-dimension array work with the matrices. So I will create a array with the integer type and give the array name matrix, and provide the size to array that it has 2 rows and 3 columns. And after this I have to assign the value to this. So simply I will use assignment operator and this parenthesis bracket, and the first value, first we have to define the value. So we have to provide the value, and first row 2 3. In this array there is should be 2 rows and 3 columns. I inserted the 3 column. This is column 1, this is column 2, and this is column 3, and use the comma here. And again 2 3 4. It's 2 row 1 is this, and row 2 is this, and row 2 is this. So as we know that this is the matrix, this is the two-dimension array. In this dimension array, the first part indicate the rows and second part indicate the column. It means it has 2 rows, row 1 and row 2, and but has 3 column, 1 2 3. There has 3 columns. This is how we can declare the 2D array. How we can print out the 2D array. If I want to print out the 5 from the 2D array, we have to define the side. We have to provide the positions at what position that array is, that 5 is present. First of all, we have to define at what row, at which row the 5 is present. At the row number 1, the 5 is present, because the 1 row start with the index position of 0, but the second row in the start with the index of position of 1. As we know that 5 is present in the second row, so it has an index position of 1. So I will write here 1, and the 1 index and the row the index position that is 1, and this index position the row the 5 is present. Now we have to define at what column that 5 is present. There is 0. This is column 1 that has index position of 0, and this is column number 2 that has index position of 1, and this column number 3, and that has index position of 2. At this index position the 5 is present. So the index position, at the index position of 2 the 5 is present, so I will write here 5 index position 2. Now simply print out the 5 on my screen. If I compile and run, you will see it's saying that cout function exception error. We have to also use semicolon here, because, and if I compile and run, you will see that 5 will sorry, I forget to give a difference of one line, so I will use a slash n, then execute, compile and run. Now you can see there 5 is printing on the screen. That simply we printed out the 5 from the two-dimension array. That's how we can print out the any number, any value from the two-dimension array. Two-dimension array is a little bit complicated, but I hope you understand this. If you understand, please like and comment and subscribe and share this video. If you have any queries on this, you can ask me in the comment box. And for this video, array are one of the fundamental data structure in C++, and mastering them will set a solid foundation for more advanced topics. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. Drop a comment below if you have any questions. See you in the next video. Okay, Allah Hafiz.